Welcome to the notes for lesson 7-2. This is from page 7 in your notes packet. Is it linear or nonlinear? So our target is I can, from an equation, complete a table and a graph of a linear and nonlinear equations. So we're going to see some different examples in this video of different kinds of graphs based on the equation that we're given. So let me move the screen up a little bit. So we're going to need lots of space for this. You'll notice there's lots of space at the bottom of your paper for us to complete this task. Okay, so our graph, notice our table, I should say, has input and output values. Okay, and we have an equation. The equation is 2x minus 3 equals y. So the reason why x is our input is because we're going to put a number into the value x, and then our output is what we get for y because of it. All right, so now if they give us a blank table like this, usually you start with -2 and go up to +2 to see what the values are, just as like a guess. Now, if these y values won't fit on your graph, you may have to adjust this and do different numbers. But we're going to use -2 to +2 and see what happens. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to use this space. I'm going to rewrite my original equation. I've got 2x minus 3 equals y. So I'm going to start with -2. I'm going to plug in -2. So when x equals -2, I get 2 times -2 minus 3, and that's going to equal y. 2 times -2 is -4, minus 3 equals y. -4 minus 3 is -7. So -2, when x is -2, y is -7. Well, when I look at my graph, I have nowhere to put that. So I got to keep going, but the next one's going to work. So this time I'm going to do, when x is -1, I'm going to plug that into this equation. 2x minus 3 equals y. And I get 2 times -1 minus 3 equals y. What's 2 times -1? That's -2 minus 3 equals y. -2 minus 3 is -5. And there is my y value. Now, will that fit on here? -2, so over 2 spaces, down 5, that will fit. Now, if you want to make an additional column for the x, y values, so you can see the points, that's fine. That's actually what I usually do when I make these, so that I can be very accurate and not make any careless mistakes. But that's entirely up to you. So now we're going to do this for x equals 0. Alright, so I'm going to jump right to the substitution part, because I need a little more space for this. So 0 minus 3 equals y. 0 take away 3 is -3. So when x is 0, y is -3. So when x is 0, I don't, oops, made a mistake here. Hope you didn't catch that. When x is 0, y is -3. So I stay at the origin and just go down 3 and put another dot. When x is 1, what is y going to be? So 2 times 1, making all sorts of mistakes here, minus 3 equals y. 2 minus 3 is -1. So when x is 1, y is -1. Now you might be noticing a pattern here, and that pattern is true. 4, 2, minus 3 equals y. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1, so I get 1 equals to y. So when x is 2, y is 1, so over 2, up 1. Okay, so there is my dots. You can just leave them as dots. I usually connect them when I have a function, so I can see what it looks like, and it is a straight line. Okay, whoops, let me go back to that. Alright, so make sure you show all this work. If you wanted to do one more, I bet you could even guess it without having to figure it out. It is 3, 3, because it does go through this point. Okay, so there's the first one. This is linear because it is a straight line. Very good. Okay, so let's take a look at the next page, page 8. Alright, now we're going to complete this table when x squared equals y. So I'm going to write this right here. I'm going to extend my table to the left. If you want to extend it to the right, that's fine. But I usually write my points over there. So again, I'm going to use -2 to +2. Now these numbers might not work, so sometimes you have to try something else. Alright, so x is -2. So what is -2 squared? Or -2 times -2? That is 4. So when x is -2, our output, our y, is 4. Same thing for -1. -1 times -1 is just 1. 0 squared, hopefully you know that is 0. 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. So our numbers for our y output look like this. So now let's graph those. And if you want, make your x, y column so you know your ordered pair, your points. So we've got -2, so over 2, up 4, that's right here. Then I have -1, 1. Then I have 0, 0. Then I have 1, 1. And then I have 2, 4. And this is the shape of the graph. And you've already seen this in this topic, but what you haven't seen is the name. This graph actually has a very interesting name. It is called a parabola. Not parabola, parabola. Okay? Alright, so that is what happens when you graph this. And it looks different than linear because, well, it's not a straight line. Alright, so we have one more we're going to graph. And the equation looks like this. Now, this is a little bit different because we have those straight lines, and what those are, and hopefully you remember, is absolute value. Meaning that whatever the number is inside the absolute value, you have to make it positive. Absolute value actually means the distance from 0. Okay? We're actually going to do a few more than just from -2 to +2. Let's go up to, yeah, we can go all the way up to 4 if we want. Alright, so what happens? Well, if I plug -2 in and then take 1 away, I get -3. But -3 turned into a positive is +3. Absolute value means you take that distance from 0. So -3 is 3 spaces from 0. Now I have -1 minus 1, that's -2, but absolute value of -2 is +2. Now I have 0 minus 1, that's -1, but the absolute value of -1 is +1. Okay, now I have 1 minus 1, and the absolute value of 0 is just 0. Now this does not keep going. Watch what happens now. Now I have 2 minus 1, that's 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. And if you think that this is going back up, you are correct. And it looks like that. Alright, so let's plot these points. The first point is -2, +3. Then I have -1, +2. then I have 0, 1. And then I have 1, 0, 2, 1, 3, 2, and then 4, 3. And it looks like that. And this is V-shaped. And this is, oh, I didn't do a good job there. Let's try this back. It's a little trickier than you might think to draw this. Alright, and this is known as absolute value. Okay, so you have an opportunity to earn 3 points on your scoreboard. The 3 points are for the 3 different kinds of graph we have. I wrote the name next to each one. For each, and I want 3 different people to share that. So if 3 different people share the 3 different names that were named for these graphs, and we're going to talk about them on the next page, in math class, you'll get 3 points on your scoreboard. Alright? If you're having trouble with this, come see your math teacher, or you can ask a friend for help, or talk to your parents, see if they can help you. Good luck, and we'll see you in math.